Hello, this is Robert Pultz. Today, I'd like to talk to you about my 2023 genealogy workflow. This came about because of a question that Linda Pruitt asked at the last Logan County Genealogy Society meeting concerning my use of RootsMagic. But I've been waiting to document this process for a number of reasons, not the least of which is for my family to have a roadmap for continuing my genealogy efforts after I am gone. I depend heavily on your ability to pause and rewind this video so you can get the most benefits from it. If you're fortunate enough to have two monitors, I would load the URLs from the description in one monitor and the video in the other monitor. This way you can pause the video and view the larger images in the URLs for details. My narratives and slides often duplicate information. I do this because I was taught in presentations to tell people something at least 2 times during the presentation if you want them to retain it, and because some people retain better if written and others if heard. So I tell the key information one time and write it the other. Hope this works for you. I also included slides not covering in the narrative for clarifications that some might find interesting in answering questions. My current research steps are where I find the new records for my tree, enter into the research log, how I download the item, clarifying, enhancing the document if needed, enter the document into the filing system, update index to the filing system, updating the research notes, adding the research log report to the filing system, entering data elements into RootsMagic 9, updating a person's records in FamilySearch, updating associations in RootsMagic 9, and updating strength of connections. This is a surprise to me to see how many steps when I wrote them out. Well, that is it for 2023. 2 new steps and 1 step that eliminated distractions from my prime research. But it's necessary and was added in the last 12 months, and we'll talk about that later. I have migrated to a position where I believe I'm researching the correct people. My DNA testing has verified 5 of the 8 main lines I am researching. And my Y-DNA test have verified I am a Bose. Well, that's the German name for pulse. So I have moved past either earlier genealogical research methods, and I'm now adding context, collecting documents that strengthen my connections, and adding additional details to the individuals I have identified. Let's discuss first where I find new records for my tree now. I purchase databases. I purchase 1 database each year and try to strip it of everything related to my family's names. In those 12 months this year, I purchased newspapers.com. Last year, it was MyHeritage. I find this to be both economical and efficient. So by focusing on one database and its anomalies, I do not have to research the anomalies of multiple databases back and forth at the same time. So let's see what I've uncovered from newspapers.com so far this year. Note for this database, I changed my file naming protocol because a file name is retained by a newspapers.com database, and I wanted those that follow me to have access to the data as I see it. The newspapers.com protocol is reference number, family search ID, name that I used in the search, date in the form of year, month, day, and then the description of the event. Now let's share a screen. Come over here. And you should be seeing, this is the file that I'm keeping download from newspapers.com. This is Beverly Wright Pultz, who is my great-great-grandfather. And these are articles that I found in newspapers.com for him. Otta Kennedy is his wife. And you'll see that the naming protocol, the file naming protocol is different. These names will change actually when I put it in the file. I delete all this extra stuff in here and just go with reference number, date, and a description of the event. Okay. Okay, the next source for my data in 2023 is FamilySearch database and new FamilySearch database entries, and this is published each month at Ancestry Hunt, and it's on Facebook. I go to the databases and select those that apply to my family, and these are primary by location data. I run the related family surnames against the database and see what they yield. So let me show you that. So let's get there first. Okay, this is the Ancestry Hunt database for this month. When you click on this, that takes you to this page. This page, I keep practicing and then I take and run it all the way down. Okay, let's get it up here. Okay, here's FamilySearch. This is put out by that organization. What's his name? The Ancestry Hunt. Okay. And he does this every month. And you'll see the ones that I am interested in, the ones I looked at, will be green instead of blue. So as we page down through here, of course, Germany, Ireland, I've got Ireland family, Ohio, stillbirths, and so on and so on. The one that interests me, and the one I want to show you today, because I had a find there, is the Texas County marriages. When you click on that, you go to this database. I enter the Pulse name to take and look at it. And this is the results. And you'll see LMA Pulse and K.E. Alexander and LMA Pulse and R.E. Alexander. This is a classic case of the index. This is the index and the document having somebody transcribe the names wrong. Okay. And let me show you what those documents are. This is LMA. Now, the first thing when I go to a page like this is I come up here and I click the Zotero web page tool. And there we go. It's recorded that. Now, I don't have to worry about research logs anymore. And so this is it. This is the information. Now, for this information, to store this information, I will take this information and I will come down here and I'll take a snippet tool. That's a Windows snippet tool. It's free with every Windows. And I'll come over and I will catch the URL and the date and time. And then I will store that document using the protocol for file naming that I and this one will take 2 pages, and the second page will be 02, and this first page will be 01. Now for the document, and this is the document, here's the KE pulse, it's supposed to be RE, and LMA pulse. You'll notice the 1951, that's their reference number, that's not a year. And it's this volume and this page, okay? All righty. So I have this document. I'll download it. It will have everything but the word details in its file name. So the file name and the details pages are matched. This is the second document. Of course, this one I come up in and record it in the research log. And this is LMA, and I do the same thing. I go up and I clip all this off, and I'll get the rest of it. You'll see here's the whole source citation, the way FamilySearch recommends doing it. And then that document looks like this. And you'll see the 1951, which is the document number, not the date. And this is R.E. Alexander. So the K got interposed when they did this, when they did the index. And you'll notice this 1946 is the actual date. It's easy to make the mistake of calling that the actual date. And in fact, I did so for a while until I started looking at it closer. So anyway, and then we have the witnesses, the deputies, and the county clerks. Okay. Now, Let me catch up with where I'm at. This is my grandmother. I've looked for this record for a long time, and I don't understand why it's in this part of Texas. This is 350 miles from Reuben Alexander's the husband in this case, children. So I've got a lot more research to take and do. This is the grandfather that I knew growing up. He ran a boarding house in Crescent, and he was always grandpa to me. He was grandpa to my cousins. He happens to be the father of my aunt's husband. So my cousins had one grandfather that was one grandfather from both sides. So it was always a fun thing to talk about. Okay, the next place I find records is from genealogical societies, working group challenges. I'm a member of 5 societies, and I attend their meetings frequently. 2 of these societies have informal groups where individuals give members challenges, sometimes called brick walls, to work on and provide further research suggestions. It's proven beneficial to me in 3 ways. First, I receive quality feedback on my challenges. Second, I observe what others are doing and see how they came to apply that to, and then I apply that to my research. Case studies are always useful. And third, by preparing challenges for the group, I identify research holes in my research to pursue. So just reviewing it for the group and not wanting to make a mistake in front of the group, I find holes in my research. It always helps to discuss your challenges with a group of knowledgeable individuals. This is called Delphi Research Method. I've used it and when I was working in industry, and it's used by many industries today to take and solve problems. The suggestions, I also look at suggestions from professional genealogy specialists, their presentations, and their conclusions. I'm currently working with Christina Barcom, a professional genealogist, on World War I research. There's a detailed video in the description for this. You might find that interesting. I'm preparing for another meeting with her in another couple weeks. I receive FamilySearch notifications in both emails and suggestions on individual pages. These are detailed in the video that's in the description also. I have a free tree on Ancestry, even though I no longer have an Ancestry account, and it generates shaky leaves. There's a detailed video on how I use these in the description for this video. Rick Sayer, he's a well-known genealogist. He developed a search algorithm for all Ancestry databases, and I run that once a year. Haven't run it yet this year, but once a year, and it takes the tree that you have on your free Ancestry tree, compares it to the databases, and gives you all the hits within a single database for that each individual in your tree. Prints out a lot of information, takes you a while to take and dig through it and make sure that you have all those documents in your information. I still receive my heritage notifications from subscriptions last year, and I have DNA with them. They send me DNA subscriptions too. My autosomal DNA is with my heritage, and it generates monthly matches. I have my autosomal and Y-DNA with Family Tree DNA, and it generates matches monthly that I review. And then I've shared my DNA with GenMatch, and I frequently check those matches. So let's see. I did a log a few minutes ago, and here are the 2 records in LMA Hatch And I'm not currently working on LMA Hatch, but this is Zotero. This is all the places I've been in 2023 for LMA Hatch. And so those two records logged here, you'll see that they come up with the URL. I can add notes if I wanted to drop out of my research mode and come over and add notes. There's easy enough to add notes. It's also easy enough now that I've got everything filed and I'm not doing research to add notes. So it doesn't just, the key point is the research log lets me take and continue on my research and the thinking that I'm doing for research without taking and interrupting that process, but recording everything. Let me show you one that I'm working on currently that has a little bit more data in it. And this is my research log for William Bernard Kern, my grandfather on the other side of the family. And these are the various articles and stuff that I have found for him and researched this year, and things that I've gone, places I've gone to and have not found anything. So, okay, that's it for this one. We will see you in a minute. Okay, let's review where we are. I have downloaded the file, both the detailed and the actual forms using the file naming protocol. That is the same for both the detailed and actual, except for the word detail. The detail I retrieve most of the time using the free Windows snippet tool. The actual document typically comes down as a PDF or a JPEG. I prefer JPEG, but I can use PDF if that's the only option. The file naming protocol is reference number, date, year, month, day, description, and description of the event. Also, Zotero has captured the log of the search data notes that are dated for the document, and they've been added to the Zotero entry. Everything currently resides in the download file, and it's time to take and file under the person's name and folder and do analysis of the new data. So let's screen share. So here's the folder for William Kern. And you can see that I have separate folders for the census. That's mainly because there's a lot of files that I collect on the census. Some of them are duplicates, but some of them clarify others. Then here's the main file. Here's baptism certificates, daily journals. And you'll notice with my file naming protocol, they all align in a timeline type format. So just page through here. This is the information I've collected on him at this point in time. And you saw all that information that I've collected from newspapers.com. Well, a lot of that information for William Kern has already been integrated into here. This is the index file down here. We'll talk about that in just a minute. And when we get up here to the top, here's the research folder, and we will talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so that's the file. We will also talk a little bit about the dates around the death of Joseph Kern, his father, and a little bit about the draft records. Okay. So that all, I file everything digitally, as you can see. I file by individual reference number. Many of the people find this difficult, but I have every record addressing an individual in one location, and that has benefits to my way of organizing. This, of course, meant that a copy of any records within multiple individuals has to be copied and the file name adjusted to their reference number. It's worth noting that Thomas McEntee has published a number of filing system methods if you're interested. And others, I've put a link to his latest publication in the description. Good filing system is essential. Thomas says the same thing. And genealogy, whether it's digital or paper, it doesn't matter. Your system needs to be. When I did have a paper system, my paper system mimicked my my digital system, so they were the same. My file naming protocol has changed with time, but my individual filing by reference number has remained over ever since I realized in the early days that the first data element that they learn about an ancestor is from the census, and it's the origin of birth, not the name or the birth or the marriage dates or the death dates or anything like that. It's the origin of birth, and that's hard to use for a filing system. So this is basically the index to that filing system. This is written in HTML. It can be written in Excel. Let's go down through it. This is a summary. This is very free form for me. I use this for organizing my thoughts, doing analysis, and it's a timeline, which is very pushed by Thomas McEntee and many other genealogists. So I've got all the dates that happened. You'll see 1918, 1919 were pretty busy for William Kern. Then he bought some property in Evansville and settled down a little bit. But you can see everything that's here. All of these are hot links. Let's just hit the city directory. There's the city directory the way it was downloaded from Generations Networks in those days. That was 2013. That's probably, they were bought by Ancestry just after that. Here's my mother's baptism. Here's my uncle. He didn't live very long. And so the various things, that city directories. Here's the uncle that died early. And here's him involved in the election process, various things that he's done. Newspapers.com really fleshes this stuff out. Here's his World War II draft information, not near as complex as his World War I draft information. And this is various information, mainly about his children and what they're doing. Here's a Christmas card that he gave me. Actually, he and his wife gave me, my grandmother. So, just everything that I've got on William Kern is in this file. And so here's all kinds of information. I'm going to page through all of it, and then I'm going to go back and open up a couple documents. This is the, nope, that's one that I've decided is not him. I was trying to find something that's down here further. Here we go, details. Okay, here's all of his death information, obits. This is a database called the Browning database. It's unique to Evansville, Indiana, or well, actually a 3-state area in southern Indiana, Illinois, and northern Kentucky. And this individual ran a funeral home there, and he collected information on every death that was in the area. This is another set of cards from the same database. He had 3x5 cards on everybody that died in the area. Okay, so that's all the way down. Let's go back to 1919. Show you some of the information I've got collected on his father and mother's deaths. They died within 6 months of each another. There was quite a bit of activity. William ended up suing his brother for distribution of the funds from the estate, I think. That's my current hypothesis. And the net of that is I have the description of the land that his father owned, and now I'm trying to chase that down a little bit. 1919. Here we go. Okay. This is the collection, the separate collection. That's another timeline of just the details associated with the death of his father, Joseph. The various information about Joseph, the will, the probate. This is an exhibit that apparently Joseph had committed to before his death. Somebody had to attend that. I'm speculating that William may have been one of them that attended that and supported that. Lots of information. Now, Margaret is my grandmother, and this is her death. And then he filed suit against John A. Kern, which is the second oldest in the family, who is the administrator for the will. And then the result of that, there was a sheriff's sale of the land of Joseph Kern. And because of that, yeah, I have a case number and a description of all the land that Joseph Kern owned. And my current project is trying to identify this land and the information concerning them. Who owns it, who owned it, who bought it at the sale, what happened to it. I'm finding some stuff. So this is basically everything to do with his father and mother's deaths and all the information there. And then at the same time he was doing that, he was involved with the let's see if we can find it, draft board. And there was this whole series of events going on with the draft board. And I've had a lot of help with this because of the lack of understanding and lack of finding information until I got to going through all this. And now this was the key. I had help here. Well, let me move this over so you can see it. Okay, this was the key. You'll see William Kern here. This is what the draft board fills out. And I had to have help reading this form. And I found a specialist, Kristen Barkoff, who was a specialist in doing this. And she's been helping me read this. And in fact, I have one more meeting with her very soon to take and discuss this. So that's that. Now, for each of my things, I've added a new thing recently. This is a 2023 edition, and it's called Research Notes. And you get to that from here by going up here. And that opens up Research Notes. Now, the first thing that's in this was the results of a lot of probing on my part for how to take and manage what happens when you leave a person. In this case, I haven't worked on William Bernard Kern probably in maybe as much as 15 years, and I've been working on his name this year, and mainly because I found a lot of articles in newspapers.com, which is the database that I purchased this year, and so I'm doing a lot of analysis in there. I found a lot of articles about a lot of people, so I've got a lot of work to do this year. Anyway, in discussions with Sue Tolbert, who's a professional genealogist out in Muskogee, she keeps a written research notes on every person that she researches. And so I have added this. I I've added the challenges that person represents to me. So here's the various challenges that I've encountered with researching William Kern. Some of these have just been added in the last week or two. This is he was baptized under the name Hieronymus Kern instead of William Kern. So that was a neat trick to take and find that. And I owe thanks to one of the volunteers at FamilySearch who matched the records up. At first, I was real angry that someone changed his name. And after I went and researched it, I found out that this is the German name for this. And this is a German Catholic church, and they insisted on having the names be German names and also be saints. And apparently Hieronymus is a saint in the Catholic Church. So I knew this vaguely because I had been told a story about my sister. Her name was Donna, and they didn't like that. They changed her name. I actually haven't figured out what, but she's still living, so I don't do research on living people. So anyway, I have all these questions that I've developed about William. There's a lot more. Like I said, the area I'm working on right now is the property descriptions and the property history of Joseph Kern's estate. So this is how I've arranged this. This is my form, taking the stuff that people have told me that they're using in their research notes, so I can get back to it. So, in fact, I first thing I did was list all the major repositories, FamilySearch being one. And when I tap on that link, it goes to the FamilySearch database and shows me everything that's in FamilySearch on my grandfather, who is listed as Hieronymus William Bernard Kern in FamilySearch. And here's the relationship I have with him. Okay. And there I am. Okay. So that's one of the things that I keep in my my research notes. Here's ancestrynewspapers.com. Find a grave. There's a book named The Family Named Kern that has several pages in it. I have converted that to HTML and have the whole book in here. It's been OCR'd in by one of my brothers, and I use that as a reference. It was written by a family member that also has more associations with William Kearns. Here's the different records that I've had. Now, another thing that's in the research notes is location information. So Ward 8 shows up in the 1930s. These are the various descriptions of where Ward 8 is. New Harmony Road is where the family lived. That was Joseph Kern's place. Here's a map that goes to New Harmony Road, so you can take and see where that's at. Cynthian is a place where William Kern worked for a while. I have a map and a Wikipedia information on that. German Township is where they lived for a while. Knight Township, Teacup, Perry Township. St. Boniface Catholic Church is the church that my grandfather went to. St. Mary's Hospital happens to be where I was born, but it also happens to be where a lot of things happened with William Kern. It's now a parking lot for a Mexican restaurant. St. Joseph Cemetery is where most of the family is buried. In fact, Joseph Kern in his will had bought a lot out there and stated in there that it was being used by the family until all the plots were full. William Kern is buried there. Mesker Park and Zoo is a location that the family had family reunions in, especially the Bamey side of the family, which is my grandmother's side of the family. 3300 Eichelhart Avenue is the location that my grandfather and grandmother lived in from about 1920 up until their deaths. Park Heights is the subdivision for 3300 Eichelhart Avenue. And so I've got that information in a map part. Evansville is the city, Vandenberg is the county, Indiana is the state. This is the list of property that William Kern that was in his estate that had to be disposed of at the sheriff's auction. And this is kind of my research notes on that. I'm trying to find that. The town of Howell shows up in the Joseph Kern property, and Union Township shows up in Joseph Kern's property. Now, this is a instruction page on how to separate duplicate names. There are several William Kerns in the area at the time. So this is the by target William Bernard Kern, and he lived from 1888 to 1978. Wife was Margaret Bamey, and there's the children. All these people are deceased now. So there was a William Alfred Kern that lived in Evansville. There was a William E. Kern. There was a William Jacob Kern and a William Gerard Kern, both of which show up as William J's in some records. There's a William Sherman Kern, a second William Sherman Kern. There was 4 William Kerns in the military from Indiana that I, that caused some problems with military when you're doing military research in World War I. And a William L. Kern. He was a child that didn't live very long. So next thing is I try to figure out what the strength of the links between families are. This is a strong thing with me to make sure I'm not going down rabbit holes. So a strong link is 1 primary or 2 secondaries from different sources. A medium is just 1 secondary, and then there's none. And then I've color-coded it green, blue, and a kind of a purple. And that will show up all through all my records so that I know that I'm dealing with somebody with a strong link or not. There's the various challenges that are there I need to take and process. Photo processing is one of the steps that I haven't gotten to yet. Enter into the timeline. These are steps that I'm in the process of doing. I'm still entering some of the newspaper data into the timeline. Fan and cluster research, family, associates, neighbors. These are identified fan groups that I've identified as I've gone along. Most of this is done in RootsMagic in the larger database there. We'll talk about that in the RootsMagic section. I'm trying to use the new associations feature that came out in February of this year in RootsMagic, so that's new. So I'm trying to get all this together. The Judy Russell's associates that are record makers is a real interesting article if you haven't read that. The completion of an exhaustive research is beyond what I think I can do. Software generated reports, RootsMagic 9. This is the main database for RootsMagic 9, the research report. Then the narrative report from that. Narrative report ancestors and children. This is the timeline out of RootsMagic 9, which I then compare to my timeline to take and make sure I've got everybody. Here's the association report. This is used for the fan research and the research log that comes from Zotero. And then as I go along, if I identify additional people I need to contact and research opportunities, they go here. So that's basically the filing system and the research notes. And next we will go into more about RootsMagic. We're finally getting to RootsMagic. Now it's time to take and add the research log to the filing system. And we've been collecting this information using the browser as we've gone along. We have all this information in the research log. Let me get rid of that. This is the actual file. Okay, and you can see how much is in there. Okay, so now we want to create an actual document so that we have a software document that's in the filing system. So you just right click and say generate report from the collection. And it generates a report like this. It shows you every page that you've been, any notes that you've taken. Here's notes that I've taken on this one. And so on. Okay. And you just copy that into your filing system. You come up here and say File, Save. It's coming. Okay, and it asks for where you want to save it. You, of course, want it in your filing system. I put it in downloads to start with, and then I'll rename it and have it in my filing system. So this is the information that was there. You'll see that I've noticed quite a few notes in places. So I have all this, and this is all ready for the next time I want to look at it and see if I've looked at this stuff and what notes I took on each item when I was there. Some cases I didn't take any notes. And generally, if I don't find something in the database that I'm researching, I say no data found. But I haven't found one of those today. Pretty much most of it was stuff that I knew records were in from other leads that I'd received, and I was finding them. So let me keep on going here so you can take and see the full content. You may find different things as you pause this and look at it, and you might find something that's of interest to you. Been to a lot of places researching my grandfather. I also took this must be Find a Grave, and I web page Find a Grave, yep. And so I took down a lot of information about family members and other Kerns that were in that cemetery. So I have those records here to look at them. Here's my Uncle Frank, who's my mother's brother. Okay. So now that you have that file, you put it into the filing system for William Kern, and it's there forever. Now it's time to take and enter the data into the RootsMagic database. This assumes that the individual exists in RootsMagic. I maintain two databases for this effort. The first one is the research database, and the second one is the composite database. Research is hand-entered and represents data elements that pass my screening for reliability. Composite is generated from all outside sources, GEDCOMs, from family members, from downloads from the internet. It's where I do what-if analysis, associations, fan research, and I've limited my data entry to research to limit the number of templates for consistency. So to show you what research looks like, let's open William here. And you'll notice that I have all of these entries for him. Okay, when I enter something in there, let's say miscellaneous. Okay. And I go to put a source on it. These are my entries for sources. I've limited my names to this naming style, which is in the slides that accompany this. So you can see how I've named my sources. And then when I do templates, I limit myself to a specific number of templates for source citations that are standard templates that come with RootsMagic. I prefer the standard RootsMagic templates, so I'm consistent with the evidence explained and compatible down the line with GEDCOMs and reports. As I check, I complete the RootsMagic time. I compare the RootsMagic timeline with the timeline that's in my filing system. Make sure I have all my pieces in there. I also use RootsMagic to find new documents to be analyzed, print reports, but that's beyond the scope of what I'm doing today. Back. Let's close that. Trying to get out of this. Close. Okay, now let's see. This is what William Kern looks like in the research database. And this is what William Kern looks like when you download everything from them. This one just takes it's a lot longer, bigger database. And you'll notice all the births and the christenings and so on information that's in here. This is all downloaded from the internet. I don't make an effort to take and correct this file. I just take it as it is. It's a nice history file. Try to correct duplicates of the same person that is entered, so that they're all associated, but that's about it. You'll notice that I have associations in here. Here's neighbors in the 1900 census. He was pretty young then. What was he? He was 12 years old in the 1900. That's the age, by the way. And I have, what else have I got? Here's another set of neighbors. So this is the 1950 census. So I got the 1950 neighbors in here. I have these are associates from the a wedding. These are all the people that attended the wedding. William was part of that wedding party. One of his cousins was being married at the time. And then you have the alternate names and so on. All right, now I talked about fan research and associations, and that's a new feature that came out in February of 2023. And this is what, let's see if we can get that to fold out so we can take and see it sometime today. Well, let's go paging down through it. There we go. This is what the associations page looks like in RootsMagic. So you have all these associations. Here's the ones for William Kern. You'll see I have a lot of neighbors in there. I had some associations in there. Can't find them right now, but they're in there. And various associations. So this is where I'm trying to learn to do fan research. I must admit to you that it's a learning experience, and I'm a long way from finishing that. But I hope to get good results from it. I hope to take and break through some of my data losses and data questions I have. I've done pretty good on William Kern this year. Okay, now that we've reached this point, it's important to take and share information with other researchers, and I choose to use FamilySearch for that. So this is how I would take and do this. If you recall, I have this great commissioner sale that was done in well, I'll show you in a minute, the dates and everything, and it defines Joseph Kern's, which is William Kern's father's estate, the real property in his estate, and it defines all the legal terms for all the property. Get up here to the top in that estate. Okay. And the terms of the sale. Now, this was real important because it was a lot of money to my grandfather. He got 1/13 share in this will. This is, as I told you before, when I do newspapers.com, I download both the JPEG and the PDF. You saw how I enlarged the JPEG a minute ago. The PDF has all this source citation information on there. So this is an important document. I think it should be shared with the public. There's a lot of information in it that can be used for various branches of the family. And this is how I put it into RootsMagic. It's this property. I do it like this so you can see the description. So there's the description, 8 properties of Joseph Kern, and so on. And then here's the source citation that I wrote for it. Okay. And it's in the Evansville Courier Press newspaper. Here's the footnote. Now I'm going to copy that footnote to be used later. I say I'm going to. Okay. Now let's close this document and open up William Kern in families and between RootsMagic and FamilySearch. Now I'm going to need to bring that over here so you can see it. I'm spending some time opening that up. Now, this side is the data that I've got in RootsMagic, and this side is the data that's in FamilySearch under this FamilySearch ID number, which I've established as William Kern. And here is the data element that we were talking about. And I'm going to click on that. This fact will be copied to FamilySearch, and sources is listed on here. And I'm going to say OK. And it says, please enter your reason. And this is where I use the information from the source that I had done, the end note that I had copied earlier. And I say OK. And the information should appear in property over here. It's taking a little time. FamilySearch is a little slow today. There we go. And here's property. And if you click here, this is the property description and contributor reason for describing it. It uses my name even, and sources. And then you've got to take and transfer the sources separately. Let's see if we can do that easily today. I haven't done that yet. Indiana Courier Press, newspapers.com. Citation for property. I want to take, and that's RootsMagic. And the reason for it again is this. And say attach that. So that should show up in FamilySearch. Okay. Now let's pause for a minute and then I'll show you FamilySearch. Okay, now we go to FamilySearch. This is William Bernard Kern's FamilySearch ID L81G3XL. If you don't know how to take and search for FamilySearch ID, there's a set of instructions in my YouTube videos on how to do that. And we go looking for the information that's in here for him. and it's not easy to find. It's a custom event. It came in as a custom event, and a lot to learn about this database. Okay, here's property right here. Description. 8 of Joseph Kern's real properties in his estate is entitled to 1/13 of it. Okay. And probably should have put William Kern in there. And it was submitted by me just a few minutes ago. And when we go to sources, we start paging down through the sources that are attached to William Kern. And we find that there's a lot of them without dates on them because I haven't updated the dates yet. And we find this at the bottom. And so we need to take and do this. Source title, date is 10, October 1918. You have to add the dates separately. It doesn't come over from RootsMagic automatically. So let's put that in. Now, let's see. Here it is. 1918 newspaper. And let's open it up. Oh, nope, that's the wrong one. That's another article. Anyway, it's up here on 1918. Yep, close this one. It's in here. Trust me, it's in here. I just can't find it right now. Okay, so now we're on, the data's in FamilySearch, the source is in FamilySearch, and I've got to get busy putting dates on the rest of these. I want to thank everyone who's existed through this whole video. Just to summarize, I started out with where to find records for my tree. One of the places I didn't have on my list at that time was I used RootsMagic to take and find places, but that's beyond the scope of this presentation. I entered stuff into the research log. I downloaded files and how I named the files. I didn't tell you how I enhance the images of files, but I can do that if you're interested. I entered everything into the filing system, which is all digital for me. I updated the index to the filing system. I updated the research notes in the filing system. I added the research log, the actual report, into the filing system. And entered the data elements then into RootsMagic 9. I updated the personal records in FamilySearch. I have separate YouTube videos on how to take and update associations RootsMagic 9, and the links to those are in the description. And I've updated the strength of the connections, and again, the details for doing that are in the descriptions. There's actually 2 videos on that. So I appreciate you, any feedback that you have on this process, and any comments that you have, please send them to me. Thank you.